There is a further loosening of the restrictions that may have stifled our economy in the past 6 weeks. However, there's a careful and wary eye on the climbing figure of COVID-19 cases across the country. Also today, it has been 5 years of the All Progressives Congress at the center. We look at the achievements, hurdles, and subsistent contract with the people, and that is Nigerians. And still on our lineup, we have eyes on government at the grassroots. Some states conduct election into chairmanship positions. This is Political Update on the NTA. I'm Fisai Ogunfuyi. Welcome. The Presidential Task Force has lifted the ban on religious worship but sustained the nationwide ban on interstate travel as part of new protocols for another phase of the ease of lockdown spanning 4 weeks. The report.
The latest measures approved by President Buhari for gradual reopening of the economy in the midst of the raging coronavirus pandemic are a mixed bag of protocols for cautious progression into the second phase of the national response to COVID-19 and will be subject to review after the next 4 weeks. The nationwide overnight curfew remains in place from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., but banks are now to commence full operations with all precautionary guidelines. Domestic flights will resume on the 21st of June 2020, while there will be restricted reopening of worship places based on PTF guidelines and protocols agreed by respective state governments. The ban on interstate travels remains in force, except for movement of agricultural produce and other essential services.
This is still a fight for life. And our advancement to phase 2 does not mean that COVID-19 has ended. It is still potent and highly wasteful of human lives. Majority of the confirmed cases are in a handful of local governments in the country. 20 out of the 774 local governments nationwide account for 60% of the cases.
Still on the latest measures, schools are to remain closed until further evaluation by experts, while hotels can reopen, but precautionary measures which include mandatory provision of hand-washing facilities, use of face masks, temperature checks, and observance of social distancing.
For government offices, they can open between the hours of 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., so no change in opening hours, but can work from Mondays to Fridays. However, only persons that are within the grade levels of 14 and above at both the federal and the state government level will be allowed to come into work.
We must start in a very orderly, organized, safe, efficient manner so that we will achieve the intent and purpose of air travel.
There is nothing we are doing from this point that is punitive in any way. Once the schools are safe for our children to return to, I will be more than willing to quickly get the ecosystem working again.
The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 says the pandemic is far from over and cases of coronavirus in Nigeria will continue to rise, but that the latest decisions were cautiously taken to ensure a balance between saving lives and saving the livelihoods of Nigerians.
All right, a balancing act between lives and livelihood, as succinctly put by our correspondent, Demetari Ekwe. Now, joining us is Prince Sule Ikosani Same, politician and public affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You've seen that report. What do you expect now with these new guidelines?
Yeah, basically the new guidelines is to ensure that the ease of the lockdown that has started from the previous easing the president has done, this is like a complementary effort to ensure that those businesses that have started opening within that time have more latitude, access to banking, there is more latitude, people that normally have access to farms and marketplaces now can move their produce from market. Some perishable goods that are moving from farms to market can actually have access. Businesses could actually open within those times. That will actually increase the businesses around, which entirely help the economy. Because if you look at the the report that the Office National Bureau of Statistics did shortly before this lockdown, the consumption of food items and non-food items in our homes and our other places, you will see that easing of lockdown has actually restored that by about 15%, which is good, which means that if you are a businessman, you are into selling your product that's going to generate, let's say, 100 billion, by easing that lockdown within that period, you have restored about 50% of your business back. And for the palliatives that the government, or rather the financial intervention government did, by ensuring that people have access to fund single-digit interest rate, people will be able to get their money easily from banks, do little trading. There is access to capital, which has also that has also alleviated some of the sufferings because that's the major thing, to generate capital to be able to run your businesses. And people in the public sector also that have not been very active in going to their offices have been told now you can actually do more going to work, which will ease a lot of, the general psychology of a human being getting to stay in one place, don't move to go to work. That has a lot to do with the mentality of most Nigerians. If I get back to the clinical aspect of it, to affect the psychology of so many people, that's not good. So people have been easy. People can go out, do their businesses. People can go to work and do all that. So generally, if you look at it, it has shifted that position that I told you based on the statistical report by almost 50%, which is really good, which will give us a confidence that this government is actually feeling that a majority of the Nigerians need to go out to work, go out of their work to generate something that they could eat. It means that it's actually a government that considers the situation on ground. They are following these things. Remember, issue of pandemic like this, you have to understand, first of all, the level of epidemic within the area, the level of pandemic, the testing, how many people are actually tested. They do the count. They've been doing tracing all along. Other people that have traveled and come back, they've been tracing them, testing them. Some are discharged, some with blessed memory, some isolated, some passed away. So that has helped us in understanding the rate at which the transmission of this particular virus does. So in the long run, our hotels, our hospitals, our homes and all that is telling you that the normal sanitary things you use, thinking is a normal thing, is now mandatory in order for you to disallow bacterial growth to harness all these viruses. So this is something that is supposed to be a tradition. A typical African society, that is supposed to be a tradition. So with this, we can now have a transition. I hope it remains a permanent thing for all of us in the country so that we concentrate by ensuring that hygiene is the key. How we do our businesses is not going to be normal anymore. We have to be more careful in the way we actually go visit hospital, visit public places and all that. So with this, it will allay the fears that the Nigerians have that the opening might never come again. You can clearly see the president has a template which clearly set out a program, and the program is being guided by this PTF, telling you that after so time there will be easing and there will be that.
Let me quickly go to this. There's a lot of agitation for some, a lot of people putting pressure on this issue of interstate lockdown. They're saying that it should be relaxed a bit because of the different industrial value chains that is key to trade. What would be your position on this?
No, Mr. President has set a task force concerning interstate movement, and that has to do for goods. There's a task force that was set by Federal Ministry of Agriculture that allow movement of goods. You could see truck carrying food, let's say from Kebbi, where I am, they will move down to Lagos, all this road. When they get to the road, they are being allowed because task force are monitoring this, which is allowing the movement of food. So that's very important, because if you disallow the movement of food, that's a danger. But you see, Mr. President saw it and ensured that there is a movement of food, goods and right, which is very important.
We'll come to that. Let's quickly go to some political stories. Now, the All Progressives Congress says it will comply with all INEC guidelines on physical distancing to conduct direct governorship primary elections in Edo State. This was part of the resolutions at the end of a meeting between APC governors and the National Working Committee of the party.
The meeting between the national leadership of our party and members of the Progressive Forum was to discuss issues that have piled up, especially from March 14th, when the forum met and agreed to meet with the National Working Committee under the able chairmanship of Comrade Adams Aliu Oshimole to discuss issues of interest to our party. We have, in the intervening period, many things have happened.
To discuss internal issues of the party, which are basically to explore ways and means of strengthening the party and ensuring that we continue to remain the most favored party in Nigeria. And we had a very, very, very helpful conversation. You know, it is one APC, there are no two APC. So, interacting and interfacing with our governors is something that has been part of our tradition. It is not something we have just invented. And today one was particularly helpful.
In a related development, Governor of Edo State Godwin Obaseki has notified President Muhammadu Buhari of his intention to seek re-election for a second term in office.
Governor Godwin Obaseki was in the State House to present his expression of interest form to President Muhammadu Buhari in respect of the forthcoming Edo State governorship election.
As a father of a country, as our president, you just should not assume or take things for granted. I just had to formally come to inform him and solicit his support in my gubernatorial bid.
APC governors, under the auspices of the Progressives Governors Forum, had earlier endorsed Governor Obaseki's re-election bid ahead of the governorship primary election scheduled for this month.
We believe that because of the connection which we have created with our people, we have no doubt in our mind that we will win any elections, direct, indirect, general elections in Edo State. We cannot turn back the hands of the clock. So there are certain things we just must accept and see how we can move forward. Whatever it will take to have peace, so whatever it will take not to lose lives in Edo, I am committed to.
Okay, for any democracy to be robust and all-engaging, there must be a vibrant opposition. In this report, Danjuma Mayaki reports that the People's Democratic Party is being galvanized by its Governors Forum to mend fences within the party for better impact.
Representing the chairman of PDP Governors Forum and Sokoto State Governor Aminu Waziri Tambua, Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed said the party cannot afford to lose the wisdom of Sule Lamido at this point when they are strategizing for future elections. Governor Bala Mohammed, in company of PDP leaders from Bauchi State, describes Sule Lamido as a father in the PDP political family.
We are here on a normal courtesy call on our leader, the national leader of the People's Democratic Party, and one of the pillars of the party of democracy in Nigeria. He is now a father in our political family, and paying him a visit or a courtesy call is just like paying a visit to our parents.
Former Governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, said whatever the party is doing is for the future of the younger generation. He said God has been kind to him and has done everything for him. The former governor said the nation and his political party have also been so kind to him as they gave him space to grow. He also appreciated God for what he has used him to do in his entire life. Sule Lamido was a presidential aspirant in the 2019 general elections.
Now, to elections proper, Benue and Cross River states have conducted elections into local government chairmanship seats in the past week. Let's review the comments from participants, especially in Cross River State, as to the conduct of the elections there.
The last council election in Cross River State was conducted about 7 years ago, and since the tenure of the elected council officers ended, civil servants were appointed as heads of local government administrations. Reports across the 18 local government areas in the state indicate that it was a peaceful process devoid of violence from all the polling units visited by correspondents.
The people have been able to show us that Calabar South can have peace.
The chairman Cross River State Independent Electoral Commission, Dr. Mike Ushe commends the peaceful process and the guidelines strictly observed as regards the COVID-19 protocol.
But as I speak, all political parties are involved. I insisted that all parties must have their tags for identification.
Okay, that's the first test at the local government level, because COVID-19 protocols have brought in new things, social distancing and the basic protocols to be, observed. So going forward, it's no longer big rallies and all that.
Yeah, basically, just like I said, life will not be the same. We have a lot of things we have to change in actually the way we run our lives now. Yes, normally all these rallies, if you look at them very well, in my opinion, in most cases, a waste of time. Because the people you're gathering at the rallies, you are not allowing them to even be part of your primary election processes. I just heard a comment now by somebody from Edo. There is a debate over direct primaries or indirect. We have always been an advocate of direct primaries. These people that you gather at the rallies, give them the party identification. Let them go to their wards at a well distance. Let them vote for the candidate. When you win your primaries through open direct, there's a participation in every community, which eventually, if you have a popular vote, you'll be so sure that you have the mandate of the people. Not to be seated and you have some hundreds of people, they sit in their bedrooms, they just come and put things in the boxes that they have nominated you as a candidate. That is it. And for the issue of election, normally our suburbs, which is basically where the vote is, you don't see all this car when we are voting. You see a lot of people on long queues. This time around, people, because most of the voting booths are in wards and units. So people could actually come out in batches. They don't have to come out and be in one place. But the most important thing is that there should be more security participation at every unit, not just at the ward level, at the unit level. And the coordinators and the representative of different parties should also be there at that unit level. And if the election cannot be concluded that day, we have enough security personnel, it should be shifted. You shouldn't allow a situation whereby people will come out 1 a.m., 2 a.m. that they are voting. There is no vote going on 1 a.m., 2 a.m. That is the truth. They should allow people, when they do that, they take the result, shift, they know the number of units that are there, the security personnel are there. That's why we've been advocating for this e-voting for a very long time. Because when there is e-voting, all these things are going to be taken care of. Which means there's a data, everybody's data is there. You cannot have multiple voting, and people will vote at convenience and within the time, and there will be election. So this is a good thing, because life has to go on. People have to vote. We have to elect leaders. So the issue of COVID-19 is actually telling us that even in the past, when there was no COVID-19, we should actually have some distance. There is a lot of transmission of other diseases that has been happening over the years that we don't know. Malaria and many other diseases are killing. There are a lot of many bacterial infections that are all over that are killing people they don't know. And it's been transmitted through contacts. But right now, this COVID, which is so big, is shaking the entire world, is telling us that we need these precautions, and as we live our life over time, and I'm sure this will be good for it.
It also gives the voter a lot of privacy.
Yes.
All right, let's move on very quickly. Of course, reports from Cross River State indicates that the State Independent Electoral Commission, CROSEC, will be issuing the certificates of return to all elected chairmen and councillors. That is today. It should be underway now. Now, party members and other Nigerians have continued to congratulate President Muhammadu Buhari on the anniversary of the first year of his second term as Nigeria's president. They say the anniversary is a consolidation of the administration's initiatives and successes in its first term. They, however, posit that the unexpected coronavirus pandemic has led to some rejigging for the greater good.
We came in at a time when the country economy was very down this second term, and I must commend the government for making effort despite these challenges, still meeting its obligation. And of course, of recent, the pandemic of the COVID-19 came on board, came into our country again. So by and large, it's been a very challenging moment, but I think, being that as it may, they have equally succeeded in rising to the task of keeping us one and safe country despite the challenges of insecurity. They've been able to redeem our image internationally. They've been able to make business of government much easier than it was in time past. Today, people are afraid to get involved into corruption. People are very skeptical. Everybody's afraid. So everybody is trying to play by the rules.
At a time like this, it's very difficult to appraise, to actually award marks. Why? Because there's a global pandemic that has actually disrupted everything about economic growth, and other activities. So, but for us, I think Mr. President has done well by providing leadership to ensure that we have a direction on how we are tackling the issue of COVID-19. We have to live first, be alive, before we continue to talk about other achievements. But with the gradual but coordinated steps that Mr. President has put in place, I have no doubt that we'll be able to get over this, we'll defeat it, and the economy will really bounce back.
In this 1 year, has succeeded in building upon what was done in the last 4 years or in the first tenure. Today, we are doing well, except for the coronavirus and came to disturb the plan. But what is we thank God.
We have the good bad side and we have the bad side. We started with a very good note. The administration became focused, especially in the economic development of the country. They started by making sure that the food we have on our table today is as a result of the policy of the government to see that we have food sufficiency. And luckily, when the bad days come, which is coronavirus, this policy became very useful, and I think I'll commend government in the area of rice production, agricultural in general.
When President Buhari was sworn in for the second time, his administration has faced challenges. These challenges are not necessarily new, with the exception of the COVID. These challenges did not originate from his administration, but the buck stops on his table. He has a challenge to mobilize more Nigerians, to share the problems, the burdens, the challenges his administration faces with more Nigerians, with a view to getting all hands on deck to solving the problems that face the administration.
All right, that's our package today. Before we go, Suleiko Sami is here. 5 years of the Buhari presidency, and right now, of course, there's a ravaging pandemic, but there's been some, as you said, quoting you, some proactive steps also.
Yeah, certainly. If you look at, this president, when he came, he has always had the function of diversification in his mind. So that has actually allowed him to introduce programs like agriculture, a lot of diversification into manufacturing, mining, and many other things. That has actually created a lot of jobs. It has also increased the spending capacity of Nigerians. It has helped our economy. And if you look at the side of insecurity, he came with a lot of experience from the military. So the strategy changed. A lot of cleaning was done down the northeastern part of the country. All these Boko Haram, clearly, most of these areas were taken over entirely by the Boko Haram, most of these local government. But with the intervention of the president, a lot of places were taken over by the military. You can see what is happening in Borno today with the governor and the excellent ideas of security strategy of this government. You could see the sanity we're already having. Yes, it's a challenge, and it will be work in progress because of the growth of this particular terrorism around Africa, East Africa, and of course the politics in the Lake Chad Basin. All these things have been challenged. They will be well taken care of. But as it is, we cannot say it's all 100% done, but we can tell you that what Mr. President is doing on the part of security is something we should applaud. On a daily basis, we are recording successes. Propaganda is there, The media people have to do more in trying to show most of the places that we have actually done more than to show all these places that we have been ravaged.
All right, I'm afraid we can't take too much, but of course we have to thank you, Prince Sule Ikosanizomi, is a politician and political affairs analyst, for coming today. And that has been Political Update for today. My name is Mr. Ogunvi. Thanking you for being a part of today's program. God willing, we'll be back again on Friday. Bye-bye now.
Also is going to talk about, but we look forward to that one. Exciting times, I must say. Now let's check out our new and trending music videos.